I'm Rex Rogosh, and let's queer up education. U.S. Department of Education stops tracking bullying and assault data for trans students. The department's Office for Civil Rights, OCR, will no longer collect civil rights data measuring the harassment, bullying, or sexual assault of transgender and non-binary students. Public schools won't report non-binary enrollment or if schools have protective policies for gender-diverse youth. The policy also alters the federal definition of rape in school surveys by striking gender identity from the list of protected statuses. Addressing why the changes were implemented, the Education Department stated, quote, OCR determined that its costs outweighed its benefits, end quote. Legal experts and former civil rights officials criticized the decision. Seth Galanter, a senior fellow at the Edley Center on Law and Democracy and former Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Department of Education, noted the historical purpose of collecting the metrics. Quote, it was a toehold into getting a sense of what this population looked like for the first time, and the hope obviously would have been that we would be able to spot more trends and more school districts started reporting this data, end quote. For civil rights organizations and LGBTQ plus advocates, the removal of these federal metrics represents a significant loss in monitoring school safety and enforcement standards nationwide. So I thought everything that we were doing was to save the kids. So now you're doing something that's directly going against everything that you say that you're doing. You're now endangering people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, regardless if they're transgender or binary, they're children. Mm-hmm. And they're being endangered now.
Yeah.
Period.
But that special characteristic isn't special and isn't a characteristic, according to the Department of Education, according to these foul, vile people that are putting this in place. They literally did a cost-benefit analysis on life and said, not all lives matter. Now, they've been shouting that for over a decade now.
Right.
But just because you don't see them, just because you don't count them, doesn't mean they don't exist. And it doesn't mean that their deaths don't matter, that their assaults don't matter. You are horrible people. These kids are wonderful. And I pray to God they can get through high school.
Does anybody else think that Linda McMahon, who's single-handedly been inventing the Department of Miseducation, she looks like the kind of person who did her fair share of bullying when she was in school? She looks like she used to pick on people. She looked like a really mean, cruel old bitch, that's for sure.
I mean, I think that's the bigger problem. You know, bullying in school is a huge problem, you know, for kids in general, regardless of their sexual identity or their gender identity. And the fact that you're now not going to be, half the time bullying doesn't go reported anyway.
Right.
So, and now you're specifically saying, well, if something happens to a transgender or non-binary student, we don't want to know. So now you're really putting it into the dark.
Yep.
And things can be hidden. And what really kind of, it doesn't even sadden me, angers me, is the redefinition of rape.
Yeah.
I mean, the act of rape it has nothing to do with a person's gender, has nothing to do with their sexuality. Rape is rape. It's unconsensual sex. So now you're saying that if somebody does unspeakable acts to a person, but because they're non-binary and they're transgender, that it's no longer rape. So that means you no longer can prosecute it.
Well, you know, the cost outweighed the benefit, as they said.
What was the cost?
It's ridiculous.
What is the cost of somebody checking a box on a piece of paper? What is the cost of somebody saying, hey, Sally was bullied today? What is the cost?
It was obviously too high for them.
Well, the administration and its supporters, you don't have to do a deep dive on the internet to find people who support these vile people in the Congress and in the administration that support bullying, that say we need to go back to the days when we kept kids in line by making them too scared to be different, to say anything. That's the point. Cruelty is the point.
Well, I mean, we do have a bully in chief.
Yeah, right. From the top down.
So it's from the top down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.